Welcome to Case Files. I'm your host, Jacob Esguerra. In this episode, we follow a trail of unusual sightings on the island of Kauai. Encounters with something some say shouldn't exist. A young boy describes a large creature flying above the rainforest canopy just above his house. Then, his sister shares her own account, told through the pages of a children's book. And finally, a close family friend recalls what she saw near the Brown estate just moments before arriving to pick up her daughter. At the center of all this is Sarah Janisse Brown, calm, credible, and quietly caught in a mystery she never asked for. This is more than folklore. These are their stories.
They call it the Garden Isle. Lush, remote, older than legend. But beneath its beauty, Kauai holds secrets not found in travel brochures. Stories whispered between waves and wind, where the ancient and the unexplained still roam. Mr. Guerra was not there in person, but the story found its way to him.
Hi, I'm Joseph. I am turning 9 years old in 8 days. Fiesta!
Okay, Joe,
But
tell us where you were and what you saw.
I believe that I saw a pterodactyl. There have been multiple sightings of them. Somebody killed one actually, and they ate it. Everybody that ate the meat died. But I was laying in this hammock. I was just sitting here, and suddenly, from over there, I saw a giant black bird with a dinosaur-shaped head and wings that kind of looked like this, kind of like a bat, but not like that. From about here to here, it was big. It came from over there and swooshed right over our, a little further actually than our roof.
How high was it?
At first it was like about at the height of that,
Uh-huh.
and then came up and went up over the roof.
Okay, did you see its tail, its legs, anything?
Yeah, I'll show you the picture that I saw. And so this is what it looked like a lot. I was watching videos about the pterodactyl, and I actually saw one that looked a lot like this. And so this is our yard, and we believe that, and we actually think that there is a couple creatures living here, a couple pterodactyls, because we have seen multiple. The highest we've seen was 4, 5, or 6. I saw one, my sister saw one 3 times actually. My other sister saw one. So, about 5. So our land goes to about 30 feet past that tree with the, see it over there?
Encounters have a way of finding us when we least expect it. Sometimes they find us in the middle of everything, among the headlights, concrete, and the hum of ordinary life. She was just coming to pick up her daughter, a quiet evening drive through the forested hills that lead to Sarah Brown's home. But just before she arrived, something caught her eye. Not headlights, not a bird, something larger, something glowing. It rose from the trees without a sound, wings stretched wide against the last light of day. She didn't speak of it right away, but what she saw has stayed with her ever since.
Hi, my name is Alba Guzman, and I am Sarah and Janisse Brown's friends, and we were talking about, I recently saw these 2 creatures that I was driving up actually to come and pick up my daughter because she was at Sarah and Josh's house, and it was pitch black. And as I'm driving very slowly up a hill, and I see this this bird. It wasn't a bird. It was just a creature flying that its wings looked like a bat, but it was glowing. And I freak out and I'm like, oh my God, what is that? It can't be a bat because bats are not that huge. And then as I see one go off, I see the second one coming, where I was able to see like a peak from up front of his face. And then I once again, I see the wings, and it had no feathers, but I knew it was like a grayish kind of, it was just glowing. And, you know, it just went right by my eyes. And so I was so surprised. I told my daughter, and my daughter had heard about it already, and she said, Mom, those are pterodactyls, it's a pterodactyl. And I said, oh my gosh, well, it has to be something, because that's not normal, you know. I mean, it was pitch black, you know. If it was a bird, you can't really even see them at that time, and it would have had feathers. The wings were big. I mean, I saw it because it was, I can say it was probably like, as high as a tree, you know, not as high, but they were very flying kind of low, and it was just kind of one flying and then the other one, you know, following them from the right to the left, going to the left side. So, yeah, I saw that. And this is what I was telling Sarah that I described, because this is exactly what I saw, the wings. And just glowing. And then I see the second one, and I was able to catch its face with a peak at the end. I mean, glancingly, but knowing that I had never seen this before. So, excited.
Kauai by day is something ancient. A rainforest cradle wrapped in mist and moonlight. Dense, untouched, and full of places no one watches for long. Joe's sighting still lingers in our minds. Wings wide and stealthy, vanishing into the treetops. A story too strange to ignore, and maybe too real to dismiss. Could a creature like that survive here? In a land of volcanic cliffs, hidden caves, and endless canopy? Yes, it could. Meanwhile, back at the Brown house, another story is about to be told from one of the tiniest family members.
So me and Mom and Grandma were on the balcony. They were looking at different way, but I was looking in at the flashes and the shooting stars. But I saw a creature and it looked just like the black white spots. Tiny white spots, and it exactly looked like this.
Yeah, what color was it?
Black and white, but tiny bit of white.
What did its face look like?
Wait, the white was a little bit glowing, I saw.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw the head all black.
Mm-hmm.
And the beak was a little bit of orange and a tiny bit of yellow on its beak. It's really cool. It's funny how those people think this pterodactyl turned into this.
Yeah. So where was it? Can you show me where it was? Can we go outside?
Yeah, come on. Come on, let's go.
Okay, so tell me what happened.
So, you and Grandma were looking that way, but I was looking this way, and I saw this creature. I think I saw this creature. Was it close to our house? I can't remember. I don't know how far it was, but when the...
Wow.
Yeah, it was very cool. It was next to the Milky Way. I saw the Milky Way over here. There was a line like going like that. It was in the Milky Way.
Some witnesses speak by chance. Sarah Brown didn't have that luxury. In her home tucked deep in the forested heart of Kauai, 3 separate encounters took place. One from her son, another witnessed by her trusted friend and her daughter. But it doesn't end there. No, there's more to come. She didn't ask for this story, but it found her anyway. Before we roll the interview, understand this. Sarah is calm, measured, not the kind to chase shadows, but when she speaks, there's weight behind every word. Because she didn't just hear what happened. No, she lived at the center of it. Well, we welcome in Sarah Janisse Brown. Did I say your middle name right, Sarah?
You did.
Okay.
You did. Good
Wonderful.
job.
Okay. I don't know if some people like to go by their middle names, but
Yeah, well, it's actually my maiden name, but we have so much amazing family history on the Janisse side of the family that I swapped out my original middle name for my dad's last name.
wow, I see.
How
Okay.
cool. Yes.
So you live in Indiana right now, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what made you want to make the transition from Kauai to Indiana?
So, um, well, we had an acre in Hawaii, which was incredibly beautiful, and we loved it. And then when COVID hit, that acre became worth double what it was before because we lived on Kauai and everybody wanted to move to Kauai, and my kids wanted a farm.
Okay.
And in Hawaii, all we had was a jungle, a really crazy wild jungle. It was beautiful.
How
You'd step off
cool.
our balcony and you would see nothing but jungle all the way to the middle of the island. And it was a very remote location, incredibly beautiful, but the kids wanted horses and sheep and goats and chickens and all that. And then when COVID happened, it got really crazy on the island. Uh we just had like the military showing up like every other week making sure we were all in quarantine,
Wow.
and we just really didn't like what was going on there. It was kind of freaking us out, so we thought, you know what, let's sell this place and move to Indiana and buy a farm.
I see. Okay, okay. Well, I can see why you made that transition now. That's too bad. Really is. I bet. However,
Yeah.
the cost of living was pretty high, but you were used to that though.
Yeah, I mean, they had Costco and they had farmers markets, and we have a book publishing company for homeschoolers, so when COVID happened, our income tripled, so that was pretty nice.
Wow, God just really blessed
So
you.
it all
Yeah.
worked out.
Amen.
So we were
Yes.
able to buy the farm in Indiana.
Wow, beautiful. Now, you just mentioned something. I'd like to know a little bit about that. The book. You said you have a book publishing company.
Yeah, the Thinking Tree Publishing Company. We have about 350 titles
Wow.
for kindergarten all the way through high school.
For
Beautiful.
homeschoolers.
Wonderful. Yeah, how
Yeah,
about-
yeah. I was homeschool all my kids, and I have a bunch of kids with dyslexia, and then we also adopted internationally, and so I have kids that have learning challenges and speak English as a second language. So our homeschool curriculum is designed for neurodivergent kids and kids with learning struggles.
Okay, thank you for what you do for kids.
Yes.
That is awesome. Wow. How
Love
neat.
it. Yeah, it started as a hobby and out of necessity, and then it turned into something pretty awesome that tens of thousands of families are using now.
Oh, how cool.
Amazing.
That's
What
just
a-
something that God put on your heart,
what a
huh?
testimony.
Yeah, that's a beautiful
Yeah.
testimony.
Really
We're
was.
hearing one testimony. We're going to hear another one.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
excited.
yeah, it's about to get good. Well, it really inconveniences people to think that pterosaurs might still be alive because then they would have to change all their educational curriculum that says all the dinosaurs are dead.
Come on,
So
yeah.
it'd be a very expensive discovery. Being curriculum developers, knowing that how difficult it would be to recreate the narrative to revolve around living dinosaurs.
So, without further
Yes.
ado, Sarah, I want to hear all about your testimony when it comes to this sighting. Don't try not to go too deep. We'll dissect this a little bit after you're done. But go ahead and tell me
Yeah.
about your encounters.
Okay. All right. The very first thing that happened, I kind of forgot about because I blew it off because my 4-year-old was looking at a dinosaur book with me. We were just flipping through looking at dinosaurs, and then we flipped to a page with a big black pterodactyl. And she said, "Oh, that's the one I saw when I was standing on the balcony with Grandma Georgia." And we just kind of laughed about it. And she's like, "I saw it, Mom. I saw it in the backyard." And of course we're all like, "Yeah, she just saw like a frigate bird or something, you know." And
That's the norm.
we didn't give another thought to it. Um, then she wanted to look at the book again over and over and over. And every time we would look at it, the 3-year-old would say, "That's the one I saw. That's
Oh.
my dinosaur."
Mm.
And, but 3-year-olds, So then it was my birthday, and my husband and I went out to Shipwrecks Beach, and we were just laying in a hammock at the Hyatt and watching the water, and we saw the silhouette of this bird. I'm like, Jurassic Park, there goes a pterodactyl. And we just laughed about it, but we just figured it's just a bird. It's
Mhm.
just a random bird.
Sure.
Didn't give another thought about it. But because Jurassic Park was filmed really close. And I'm like, yeah, they probably lost something during the filming of that movie because that creature, huge wingspan, just, and you couldn't see it really well. It was a silhouette, but it was just classic pterodactyl vibes. But then, my earbuds keep falling out. Sorry.
No problem. No
Uh,
problem. Doing fine.
didn't think about it again. Just thought, oh, we're just seeing things. Didn't make a connection with my daughter 3-year-old having seen something. So then, a couple of days later, two of my daughters bring me two drawings. And they said, "Mom, we were laying down on the trampoline watching the clouds, and a creature flew over us. And we couldn't believe what we saw, but it looked like a pterodactyl." And so my girls were, I think they were about 9 and 12, and they said, "Okay, let's each get a piece of paper and we won't look at what each other saw. And you draw what you saw, and I'll draw what I saw, and let's compare."
Oh, nice.
Homeschoolers. And so when I got home, they said, "Mom, you gotta look at what we saw." And both of them didn't really draw a head on the creature. They're like, "We didn't really see the head, but it had bat wings and it had a tail with a diamond at the end."
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So cool.
And they said it was really big. It was not a bird. They said it was like, they said it was as big as Ember. Ember is our 6-year-old.
Okay.
Okay. And so at that point, I'm like, this is really interesting because maybe that thing that I saw down at Shipwrecks was really the same thing they saw. So then immediately I get online and I start researching pterodactyl sightings Hawaii. And I'm like, oh my goodness, there's a handful of people who are describing the same thing. And so I I was in a Facebook group of homeschoolers and I posted the two pictures that my daughters drew
I saw that.
and said, does anybody have any idea what we could have seen?" And they said, "Oh yeah, How to Train Your Dragon. It's that critter. And then someone else said, "Oh, have you heard about Ropens from Papua New Guinea?" So then I went down that rabbit trail.
Right.
And then someone said, "Oh, you need to talk to this cryptozoologist and tell him what you saw." So I talked to this guy named Dino Dave, and I told him what I saw, and he said, "Okay, pay attention to the time that you saw it, and go to the same place at the same time every night and watch for it, because chances are it has a habit, and it will probably fly over the same place at the same time every day in season." So we didn't actually do that for a while. We were just busy with life and didn't do anything. But he told us one thing. He's like, "One thing about what people have been seeing is that they're bioluminescent." So he said one thing to watch for is flying bioluminescent things that don't go in a straight line. He's like, "So if you ever see something that's a flying light that doesn't go in a straight line, let me know." So I told my kids about it, and so they would go out and lay on the trampoline, but they never saw anything again. And then it became a family joke. And so a couple months passed, everybody would joke about the dinosaurs, and my kids would joke about the dinosaurs with friends from church and the other kids, and it turned out that 3 or 4 other kids had seen something similar.
Okay.
And then my kids and those other kids from church became the crazy ones who see dinosaurs. And then they actually started to get embarrassed about it.
Yes. Yes.
That comes next.
But
Yep.
they all knew it was true, that they had seen something, and so they would keep an eye out. And then, and I'm not sure of the exact order of all these things because all of a sudden a lot of things started happening at once.
Okay.
So then my husband and I went on another date night out to the Hyatt. We weren't even thinking a thing about flying dinosaurs. We were just laying on the hammock out there, watching the sky, and we saw the most brilliant shooting star you've ever seen in your life. And it was illuminated for a long time. And we're like, whoa, have you ever seen a shooting star like that? And then all of a sudden, the shooting star changed directions and started going the other way. And then I'm like, okay, I gotta get back in touch with Dino Dave. Tell him that I saw some flying thing that changed directions, like he told me to watch for. So then after that, whenever we had a free night, it was about 10 o'clock at night or so, we would go back down to that beach and watch for strange things. And we never really saw anything quite like that again, nothing that we could really put our finger on, but we would see flying lights. And usually they looked like it could have been like an airplane, but the weird thing about these flying lights, you'd see a flash and it would stay on for like 2 seconds and it would go off. Then it would go flicker, flicker, and then it would go off and then it would flash again. And then every once in a while it wouldn't be in a straight line. But but usually it was like this flashing pattern that wouldn't go in a straight line. And we we went down there dozens of times. Sometimes we would see something, sometimes we wouldn't, but we would often see it. And then one time we were taking a walk in a neighborhood really close to that area, my husband and I, and we saw two of them in the sky at the same time. These flashing, pulsing, moving lights.
Mhm.
And so I just began, every time I would see something interesting, I would just send a little note to Dino Dave.
Mhm.
And then one day the whole family was out on the balcony having dinner. Or maybe it was lunch, but we were all out there. We were hanging out. Our dining room table was there. And a really terrible thing happened. There's this huge eucalyptus farm right beyond the jungle, beyond our property, and they were taking down all the trees.
Oh.
And so we were just watching, really sad, watching them clear out all the trees, and it was horrible. And then all of a sudden, they're clearing out the trees, and this huge black creature flies out of the area they were clearing. And and I mean, it moved really fast. You couldn't really see any details, but it seriously looked like it had like a 6-foot wingspan.
Mm.
And it was black and it was big and it did not look like a bird. And everybody saw it and everyone's like, oh, it's our dinosaur. And so then after the thing got disturbed, I think, in the middle of the day, we started hearing horrible screeches at night.
Okay. Mm.
So
Important.
in the middle of the night, we would just hear the most wretched, horrible screeching.
Can you describe the screech?
And
The best of your ability.
how can you describe it? Super high pitched, scratchy, screechy. We called it the bloody murder screech.
Do your best impression of it. Like we've never heard a dinosaur. Do your
Okay.
best. Come on.
Something like that. Like
I won't have her do that
Okay.
again. She cut out, but
Yeah,
I won't
she
have
cut
her.
out. You cut out right then. Yes.
okay. Yeah. So we called it the terrible screech or the bloody murder screech.
How often were
And
you
we would hear
hearing
it
it?
once in a while.
Just once in a while.
Okay, once in a while.
Like once every 2 weeks or so. At night when we were around the time we'd be tucking in the kids.
Before you get too far into your story, I just wanted to follow back to the lights. So the very first time you saw a light when you contacted Dino Dave, the first light was you described it as a shooting star. So it must have been a lot brighter than the lights you saw after that. Was that because it was closer?
Right, because it was close.
It was closer.
Yeah.
But you couldn't make out any
'cause you
discernible
could-
shapes.
Well, when it turned and came back, it looked shadowy around the light. Like it was not a star.
And the light was what
There was
color?
like the shadowy. Huh?
The light was what color?
And the light, it was whitish orange, almost, but it almost had like a green tinge around the edges. It was hard to tell white, orange, green. It was mostly white, but it almost seemed like it was kind of orangey in the center and greenish around the edges.
I don't want to lose my train of thought
So-
here, Sarah. So, would you say this is the gist of your encounters?
No, there was more.
Oh,
There's more?
all
Okay.
right.
We had a
Keep
really
going, please.
crazy
Part
one.
2, yes.
Please keep going.
Okay, so one night we sleep with the windows opened, and it's about 2 a.m., and I hear the horrible screech of death. And it's really, really close this time. It sounds like it's like right outside. And so I get up and I go out on the balcony, and my daughter, Laura, who's the one who's the most interested in this creature that we named the creature the Pterosaur because she was so fascinated by it. She is really into birds. She has a bird rescue. She's crazy about birds. She has like, I don't know, we must have like 20 birds. They all
Don't
her
let me
parrots.
forget
In
this.
Hawaii, she had
Okay,
a bird
okay.
rescue. So she was really into this and fascinated by it. And she heard the terrible screech, and I heard the terrible screech. And so we went out on the balcony, and we're looking around, and we saw glowing goop on the foliage outside our balcony.
That's a first.
Glowing goop. There was just like, it was like sparkles of glowing goop. And then
Did you grab any of
we
it?
kind of stood out. What?
Did you collect any of it?
No, we were scared.
Okay.
No, we were so scared that this really creepy creature was possibly near
Yeah,
us.
okay.
Okay, so we went back inside. And so then my daughter went back to bed, and then I couldn't sleep, and then I heard another weird sound. And so I didn't have my contacts in, and I just went and I looked out the window, and we lived on a house with stilts. So from my window, I could see down on the ground. And so I looked towards the area where we saw the glowing goop, and on the ground, I could see a pulsing, glowing thing that looked like, I didn't have my contacts in, looked like a big jar. Like,
Wow.
Okay.
okay,
That's
so
coming
there
from
was
the
like
body. Torso.
like this
Okay.
jar,
Okay.
this glowing, pulsing. It had like and it wasn't just one color. You know what? Like when you see like car oil on water.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We've heard this before,
rainbow.
haven't we?
Yes, we
Yeah.
have. Yep. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it looked like a cylinder, and it was kind of blurry because I didn't have my contacts, but it was getting dimmer and brighter and dimmer and brighter, and the color was almost swirling around like car oil on water, where you kind of had like, you would see kind of like a blue, green, yellow. And so then I'm like, okay, I gotta go put in my contacts and go take a look at
Yeah.
this. So I went and I put my contacts in, and when I came back, it was gone.
That's all it takes.
Unbelievable. Yes, yes.
And so that was pretty much uh oh no, there was one more thing. We watched this thing for about a year and a half while we were there. And it seemed like it was mostly only there in the late summer and in the fall. So when Dino Dave came out to look for it, I don't think it was the time of year when we were seeing it, though we were seeing weird lights down at the beach. And when we were seeing some weird lights and some weird things at the beach, I did see something through his night vision and thermal vision, but there was no way to know what it was. Like, and it's so fast. And and so I have no idea if the thing I saw through the night vision and thermal vision. At the same time, SpaceX was releasing a lot of weird satellites.
Mhm.
Yes.
And so some people were just saying, "Oh, it's just SpaceX satellites." But, that didn't really explain it. So then one of the oh, no, we had two other things where two other people saw it that we weren't there. So I have a daughter who was 17 years old who thought we were really crazy, and she had specifically said, "Please stop telling people about this." Because it was getting really embarrassing for her because okay, so she said, "Please stop telling people about this." Well, she and her friends got a Nepali coast boat ride. Like they got it for free for some reason, and they were out along the Nepali coast on a boat, having lunch on the boat, and they were the only two sitting on like the front of the boat. And this they said it was a weird looking flying creature swooped in front of them. And her friend said, "What happened to that poor bird? It has no face." And my and they said, "And it had no feathers." And her friend said, "I think," and her friend came up with the idea that a poor unfortunate bird had flown into an oil spill
Because it was jet black. Yeah.
because it was black,
Yeah.
it was oily, and it had no beak. And my daughter said it had a face like a sea turtle.
There we go. Bingo.
Yeah.
Now we can narrow this
Okay?
down.
And so we started flipping through all the pictures of pterodactyls that we could find, and she found one that looked like the thing that they saw.
I saw that picture that you
A
posted.
face
Yeah.
like a sea turtle.
The skeptic is the one that
And
finally solved it.
okay, so then
My gosh.
I think the last thing that happened was my daughters had some friends over one night, and their mom was coming to pick them up, and she was driving up the hill through the jungle to our house, and she came inside, and she was really shook up, and she's like, "Do you have bats here? Really, really big bats?"
Really big bat. Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" And she's like, "I was driving in your driveway and two really big bats swooped down in front of my car, and they were glowing and they had really big wings, really big." And we're like, "How big?" And she's like, "Bigger than this." And then she like put out her arms and she's like, "Really big." And they swooped in front of my car. And one of her daughters was with her and saw it too, and it happened so fast. But she's like, "Are there even bats that big? What was that?" And then the kids were like, "Oh, you just saw the friendly local dinosaur. It's just the pterosaur that lives in the jungle behind our house." and but she said it had a beak. So so she said it had a big beak, and my daughter, sorry, my earbuds keep falling out. My my daughter said it didn't have a beak, it had a face like a sea turtle, and she said the one she saw had a beak. The one my daughter saw, she said she didn't see a tail, and what my other girls had said it did have a tail. So now we're like, what are we seeing here? Is this male, female? Is this two different species? We've got something, and the ones my daughter saw, they said they think it had a long face, but when they were on the hammock. And the ones that were the bats that flew in front of the windshield, she said they were bats with like a beak or a long face, and it's silhouetted, but she said it had a long face or a beak and bat wings. And but my daughter said it had a blunt face, no tail, and a sea turtle head. But they all said they were all saying it was black
Okay.
and shiny.
Okay.
So that's kind of the story.
That is a lot to take in. It really
Yeah.
is. This is probably the most I've had to take in a long time. This is chock full of information here. Multiple encounters involving winged phenomena. Okay? And make no
Yeah.
mistake, this is something that's aerial and most likely
Yeah.
pterosaurian. Now, let me collect myself for a moment here.
Okay.
We
That's
went through
lot.
quite a bit.
Yes.
This is really
Yeah.
good stuff. I mean, great stuff. Because not only do we prove the existence of something on the Hawaiian Islands, we're looking more at Ropen and something else.
Right.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
Ropen is kind of a loose term we've been using on this network. It's what I've decided to call my network. Because it basically is describing pterosaurs. But there's a certain kind of them. Mostly related to the head crest, the big head crest, like you would see on a pteranodon, which doesn't usually possess tails, but people are saying they've seen tails, which then brings me into Kangamato or Ropen or Indava, Core. There's a lot of names for them. But it seems
Yeah, we never saw anything like a head crest. Anybody
Right.
that actually saw it in any form of daylight or the light of their headlights, nobody ever said anything about a head crest. Some people said a beak, some people said a blunt face, some people said a tail. And since we moved, several people have seen it and told my kids, I saw the creature that you were talking about.
I almost feel like I have to go to Kauai now.
Yeah.
It's
You have
just
to
too
go in the
big of an
right season because
experience.
it's like 2 or 3 months out of the year the thing seems to be around.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing variants here. I think that you've definitely stumbled. All these individuals are stumbling upon different types of pterosaurs. It's not just one. There's multiple kinds here. And again, they're so diverse. They range in sizes and wing morphology that it's very easy to distinguish bird from reptile. Now, something that
Yeah.
caught my attention here is that you mentioned your daughter who studies avian types, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's the one who's crazy obsessed with this.
So
was
she
at the
would
time,
know
yeah.
the difference between bird and reptile when she saw it, or something that is
Yeah.
unknown.
I mean, so we're homeschoolers, and our homeschooling method is organizing their curriculum around their passion. So since she was 4 years old, her passion has been birds and exotic animals. And so she watched just about every bird video that you can imagine. And she was very, very fascinated by the rare birds in New Zealand and Papua New Guinea. And so I believe, um, she was, I think, might have been the one who figured out the rope in Papua New Guinea thing. And but she had a bird rescue at the time. She has a big aviary. She had talking birds, parrots, um, and that was her passion. It still is. She still has 4 parrots, turkeys, chickens,
Super
all
important.
kinds of stuff.
She understands the avian types.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and she said that was not a bird
Okay.
when she saw it when they were laying on the trampoline.
And how old was she when she saw it?
She was 10.
She was a 10-year-old.
And she is now
She's 17.
okay. Okay.
Oh yeah, I just had a couple follow-up questions. Wow, what a fascinating experience. Let's see, I wrote a few things down here. Okay, so some of the things that excited me. Number one, did Dinosaur Dave ever come back again, or was it just that one experience for him?
Um, he came out once while we were living there, and then we moved shortly after. So I don't know if he ever went back.
Okay.
What
But
year was
after
this?
we moved, this was in the year and a half before COVID.
Okay.
I guess
2018.
2018, 19.
Okay.
I would have to look at it. So
Okay.
after we moved in 2020, was it the end of 2000? I guess I'm really bad with
Oh, you're
exact
fine. Yeah,
dates.
yeah. No.
We moved in the middle of COVID.
Okay. All right.
And so it was somewhere like 2020, 2021. Um, and so once we moved, we stopped talking
Yes.
to Dino Dave because we were gone.
And then
So
I was also wondering, were they encroaching on the jungle there? Like, I'm wondering why there started being so much human contact, even to your friend, almost dive bombing in front of the car there. Was the forest being cut down? Was there any of that happening there?
okay, so here's what had happened. Like 20 years ago or so. I could be wrong, but it was actually planted with the intention of harvesting for green energy. So, like the
Okay.
eucalyptus trees had been planted there like 20 years ago or something, with the intention of harvesting, and they harvested like a couple thousand acres just outside
There
our
you go. Yeah.
property.
So they were disturbing that and the food source that he probably ate.
Yeah, so they had planted the trees, and the trees had been there for like 20 years, just growing until they were ready to harvest.
Correct. Okay. And then with the goo, oh, that was so exciting.
I was
And I
gonna say.
understand you were the fear there. But the next day, was there any residual? Did it do any damage to the
We didn't
woodworking?
see any.
It was gone.
Well, it was like on like the foliage. There were just
Okay.
like that dripped on your shirt. It was stuff like that. Like it
Oh.
was Hawaii. We had these
It's
big
Hawaii, yes.
we had these big like elephant ear plants,
Yes.
and there was drips of glowing stuff on the elephant ear plants out there.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I wasn't wearing my contacts, but I could see that there was patterns on the leaves that were glowing, and my daughter said it was globs of goop. We get rain every morning in Hawaii,
Okay.
and so by the time we wanted to go see if we could like find anything the next day,
Yes.
but it had already rained that morning.
I was gonna say.
But I'm with you. I wouldn't have went out there at night either for that. Yeah, it'd be
No, that
become dinner.
and our jungle, like we have a balcony that overlooks the jungle, and it's like a 25-foot drop off the balcony
Okay.
to
I'm getting a bigger
the
picture.
the
Yeah.
foliage
Okay.
below. It's really steep, so you definitely wouldn't be going out there
And
at
the,
night.
and the last question I had, and all that experience time, was there any kind of pictures that you guys were able to take, or anybody else that may have taken pictures in the community?
Well, the thing is when you see it, it's for like a second,
Yes.
or 2 seconds, or 5 seconds.
Yes.
So it's like if you try to like grab a camera and take a picture of a moving thing at night, I really tried because it actually got to the point where for a little while there we knew when it would fly over our house.
Oh.
Mhm.
And it would fly in from the jungle and go towards the water. And it would do little flashes.
Right.
Okay.
And so we knew when to watch for it. And so it got to the point where we could bring friends over and at like 9:30 at night, and if we would just stay until about 10:30 at night, we would see the flashes.
How fun.
Okay.
Yeah, watch party.
So let me ask,
And
let me jump in real fast, Sarah.
sure.
So this is where the skeptic is going to say, okay, if you were expecting it, why don't you have a phone ready or something?
Okay, so I did. I had a phone, and there were a couple of times that I was holding my phone and it actually goes by, and I get like just
A blob.
moving light. But it's really, I mean, I have it somewhere. It's really bad quality because it's dark. It's a Google Pixel phone, and it just looks like you were taking a video of a star and you're shaking your phone.
Okay. Well,
And
that may still be important. If you
yeah,
still
so
have
maybe
it.
I can find that.
Yeah, if you find it,
And,
I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I'll try to
Okay.
I'll try to go back and find it. It just looks like a picture of blackness, and then maybe a little bit of a moving
Right.
little tiny bit of light.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't that when it would fly over the house, it wasn't low.
No, sorry.
Okay.
It was about the size of a star, but it would do the thing where it wasn't moving in a straight line, it wasn't having a regular light pattern, and
Okay.
so
That
Okay.
makes sense.
there
That makes
we
sense,
were
yeah.
seeing something, right? And who knows if that was really it, but we figured out that there was a time when if we would stand out there for like a whole hour, we would see an irregular light moving
Okay.
from one direction to another.
That's pretty cool.
So when I come back to this goo, okay, so I was looking at your home and I've seen images of it,
Yeah.
and yeah, you got quite a drop off there, big
Yeah.
drop off.
Yeah.
So the goo's on the tree foliage.
So there are like these like elephant ear plants down there, these big old leaves.
Okay.
And like the goo was like it was like I don't know, probably like penny-sized drops and
I see.
dime to penny size drops. I would guess maybe there were like 8 or 10 of these drops
Okay.
that made like a penny to a dime
But they're
shot
also
size
high up
glow.
too, aren't they? Because you're looking at something directly at probably your viewpoint, but then you go down to the surface and they're way up there. Correct?
What's that?
Would you say these are trees, not bushes? These are trees.
This is like banana leaf, elephant ear,
Yeah.
tea tree type of
Okay.
foliage. You couldn't really tell because it was dark except for where the globs of goop were.
Right.
There was a little bit of light coming from the house, but not a lot. And then there was this like glowing coming from the leaves.
And from the ground, she wouldn't even be able to see it if she was on the bottom.
Now,
Yeah.
some would say, okay, what is that? Ectoplasm?
I'm asking. Yeah, I always thought to.
Well, here's the thing, though. Okay, since this is bioluminescence,
Correct.
leaving a trail. Okay, so it could be what they were seeing was scat
Really?
from the
Just some poop.
yeah, that was actually
And then the
glowing because
thing-
of what
and
this
the
thing can do.
thing-
That makes sense.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but but when I heard the thing again after my daughter had gone to bed and I looked out there, there was like the cylinder, the glowing,
what do
pulsing
you see about that?
cylinder, which was, I would say, like the cylinder was like this big.
Okay,
Okay.
and is this
It was
cylinder?
like-
It's moving.
It's pulsing,
It's just pulsing. Okay.
like it's going,
Okay.
Oh my-
and it would get brighter and dimmer, and the colors were kind of like moving around like that oil on water.
Yeah, he's communicating.
Very
Oh, okay.
iridescent.
Yeah, they're
Like
communicating.
it was.
To who?
So, I mean, maybe it was injured or something. Who knows?
Well, it's
But-
reacting
Or maybe
because
it was. Oh, we had baby ducklings under the porch. Might have been eating our baby ducklings.
yeah, because
I mean,
here's what happens, Sarah. There's a few things that they use this ability for. It's to warn, attract, or communicate. Okay, so
uh-huh.
basically the communication's all in a nutshell. But they're basically signaling to something else, another one of their kind, that what they're experiencing is probably prey. They're saying, hey, I'm going to go in for a closer look. This is stealth mode in a way. They're actually
Yeah.
and it's-
So our ducks had just laid eggs underneath the house, right, not far from where the thing was. We had 2 Muscovy ducks, and they had laid a nest, and there were eggs, and I'm not sure. My daughter brought this up later.
okay.
She's like, maybe they were trying to get the baby chicks because there was either baby
Maybe.
ducklings or there were eggs at the time. And my daughter's like, hey, maybe it was just trying to eat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it knew that there was a duck nest under the house. So,
What did you
Yeah.
find out about on your end about the bioluminescence that emits from them? Because I don't. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that this methodology is used for a few different kinds of practices when it comes to these creatures. I mean, if they see a human being, they may communicate. And that's what the green color
Right.
is. The green color specifically is play. Okay?
Oh.
The red is more aggressive. And sometimes when people see amber on these guys, it's a warning.
Gotcha.
It's saying don't get too close. And the red turns to aggression. But the green tends to
Right.
be more playful.
Okay.
So it was actually really beautiful, and it was because it was really dark under the porch, like
Okay.
black. So all you saw is this cylinder. That's all I could like. Okay, let's say you're looking at a firefly and all you can see is its
Yeah.
little light.
Right.
So you just see this little shape, and so it was all you could see was the cylinder,
Right.
and it was kind of like not. I mean, I didn't have my contacts in, so I couldn't. It was blurry,
Okay.
but the colors that were pulsing, it was like
Mm-hmm.
it was really a beautiful light show.
Yeah.
We had like these almost like it wasn't really neon, but like it looked like a stained glass window almost.
Okay.
Oh wow. Okay.
So like imagine you're looking at a stained glass window and there's like all different colors.
Mm-hmm.
And the light is shining through the stained glass window, but like the light is like moving around behind the stained glass window and illuminating and shining through different colors.
How cool. Okay.
And
Did any of this
there was
attract?
a lot of
Oh.
amber, yellow, white, some green and blue.
I've heard about the blue too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is
Not a lot of blue. It's more like a green blue, like
yeah.
I can remember kind of like an aqua green type of, kind of a blue that comes from like patinaed copper.
Oh.
It was probably the
Okay, green.
primary color you saw was like a patina copper type of color.
Wow. Okay.
But then it had like the yellows, the ambers, the whites.
Okay.
Did any of this attract any local government or federal officials, you think?
I mean, we weren't telling anybody, but my kids were telling the church kids.
And that yeah, we
the
don't
kids in
even
the
tell.
youth
Yep.
group.
You never seen nobody come in though.
No. Dino Dave said just kind of keep it quiet while
Yep.
he's trying to look
Yeah.
for the thing.
Okay.
I did ask at the botanical gardens where they actually filmed Jurassic Park.
Mhm.
I talked to somebody who was working there. And I told him one time, this was when we had only seen it like 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, have you seen anything like this? And he was cagey. He like didn't really want to answer. He was like, "Oh, you're just seeing the frigate birds or whatever."
Gotcha,
Like,
yeah.
"Oh, you're just seeing the oh, you're just seeing the SpaceX lights. There's nothing like that." And he was like so blowing it off, but really cagey looking.
Right.
My daughter who I don't remember which of my daughters. She was on another cruise with a native Hawaiian who had been doing the cruises for his whole life, and he lived on the island that's beyond Kauai. And when she's like, "Hey, my family used to live here, and we used to see this flying creature," and he's like, "Don't talk about that.
Oh.
Don't talk about that."
Hmm. Okay.
And she said the thing was, it's like they were talking and they were having a great time. They were on the boat. They were talking about all kinds of things. And then she brought that up, and he was just like, "Don't talk about that." And then he wouldn't
Changed
talk
the
to them
whole
the rest of the
atmosphere.
time.
Now, all in all, how many encounters do we have right now? I'm getting
I don't know. I never even counted.
I'm getting a high number here.
I know. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. Maybe a dozen. I'm just like sharing off the top of my head. I don't have notes. I just have memories. So, and I can't, and I'm not even sure if that's the exact order it all happened in. So,
No, that's all right.
yeah.
That's all right. Let's go to the species here.
Yes.
Now, I know you shared an image of what you think one of them is, at least. And that puts it into the category of 13. And the 13 members are the Anurognathidae. Okay. And these guys aren't necessarily very big. Now, nothing has to be precise. This is what the fossil record shows involving these guys. And the top member being the Anurognathes, Batrognathus, Geolopterus, Luopterus. It just goes on. And they all seem to have this frog-like face to them.
Okay.
It would actually be a perfect interpretation of what was seen. Now, what's going to be tough is the wings. You also mentioned there was a tail with a diamond flange, did you say?
Not the one with the turtle face. She said that one, she didn't see a tail. If I remember right, she didn't see a tail, and it had greasy black wings with no...
Okay, all smooth skin like leather.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's quite a bit of these guys who have this look that adds up. It's just that it can also depend on the size here, like I had mentioned.
So, yeah, she said that it was like a 4 to 6 foot. They couldn't really tell. I'm not sure. I think she said it was maybe like a 4 to 6 foot.
Okay. So not too big, but
it was
big.
bigger than a bird.
Okay.
Yeah, it was bigger than a bird.
Okay. And these guys, these family members, they're actually very small. But again, you're going off of the fossil record that's not perfect.
Correct.
Okay. They're
There
going to
could be
be off.
dead. There could be dead. I mean, baby dead ones. Who knows?
There could be bigger sizes. There's a bigger size of the T-Rex family that just gets bigger and bigger. Okay. But of course, of what we find, that's all we have to base off of.
Don't reptiles just keep growing their whole life?
Are
they even reptiles?
Yes, they are. They're considered archosaurs.
Okay.
So they're a family of birds, crocodilians, snakes. That's what the family is.
Okay.
So they're still, yes, technically reptiles. And reptiles don't have fuzz or fur.
Okay.
Yeah, we never saw anything like fur or feathers. It was just shiny.
Which, these guys here, the Anurognathidae, they have them depicted as fuzzy, cute little cuddly flying reptiles. Okay.
Well, they want us to believe they evolved into birds, right? So then...
Not theory, but religion to them.
Yeah.
I strongly think.
Yeah.
And I think that, Sarah, I think that's the bigger reason for them wanting to suppress. I know we talked about, they're very against it because of the timeline, but I think it goes a lot farther than that because evolution really hinges on that. If that breaks open, look what that does to the narrative. So.
Yeah, messes things up.
So I think that what we have here with that particular counter is one of the members of the Anurognathidae. Because that turtle face fits.
Okay.
It's just that based on the fossil record, these guys are a lot smaller, like palm size, or maybe just a little bit wider.
Right.
With the wingspan.
But that's found fossils.
Those are found fossils.
Yeah.
And even then, the fossils alone, Sarah, are kind of vague about just what we think they truly look like. This is what they constructed, okay? This could actually be a misinterpretation. Everybody's still learning about these guys. There's just too many of them. There's over 150 different species.
Wow.
And 13 in this group at least, which means there could be a larger version. We just haven't found it yet. Mm-hmm. And these creatures that you're seeing could be migrating. They maybe have said, hey, look, we love Kauai. We're just going to inhabit these islands because it's a great place for them. It's ideal.
Perfect place for them.
It's your lost world, like Papua New Guinea in a way.
Yeah.
Correct.
I mean, wettest place on Earth is the center of the island is the wettest place on Earth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they like water. Yeah.
Okay, so go to the one that is, it's a white background. It's next to the thing that looks like a green with a stick.
Okay.
It's flying as pointing wings. No,
go to your left side.
Yeah.
That one?
Okay, look at that. Yeah.
That one? Okay.
Yeah, that looks like
turtle.
it could very much be kind of the thing we're talking about.
That looks like a Dinosaurus.
So,
there we go.
The way, like,
I mean, this one is all in colors and everything.
Right.
Sure.
But see how the wings kind of have a shoulder
Hmm.
like that? Um, and then it goes back and it's kind of a narrow tip, but then it gets wide where the feet are.
Right.
I
Did
mean, what? And like the size of the head, like it was like a bigger head than a bird would have had in proportion to the body,
Okay.
like this one does.
Oh,
Okay.
nice. Okay.
did the wings attach to the feet by chance, Sarah? Could you see that?
I couldn't see that.
Okay.
I mean, these things, like you see it for like seconds,
Yes.
Yeah, they move so
and
fast.
like you're just in shock. You just can't. And I saw it in the daylight once, and it, couldn't really see, what the feet were. I didn't see any feet.
Yeah. Sensory
I saw big
overload.
head and wings.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. This thing right here, the black thing
Yeah.
with the okay.
Click on that one.
I mean, it could have totally looked like that.
Okay.
And see the colors on that?
Yeah.
I mean, I know that from the fossil record they have no clue what the colors are looking at, but see how it has like that, like kind of copper patina look, and then
Oh yeah,
there's
that's
like
what you were talking a lot about.
those
Yeah.
splotches.
Yes.
Yeah. So when I saw the cylinder thing, it looked a lot like
In color.
what you're seeing there. Those
Oh, the
kinds of
colors.
colors.
Okay.
Oh.
I understand exactly what you're saying.
Isn't
Yeah.
that interesting?
That is very interesting.
And it was like glowing like blotches of color.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So would you say this image may very well be your pterosaur? Or just the colors?
There's no reason why it wouldn't be it.
Oh, how cool.
There-
Closest thing you
There's
can think
nothing
of.
that image. Yeah, there's nothing there that would say that wouldn't be possible. Because like that, the size of the head in proportion to the wings, the shape of the wings, and like what I saw, I don't remember seeing any tail, but what my girls saw had the tail with the diamond. And that was like one of the big features.
Yeah, some of the
What?
Arugnognaathidae have tails with diamond flanges.
Okay.
Not all of them, but there's a few species that do carry those. Okay. So you
And
think
so my daughter that was on the boat was the one who really saw the face, that it looked like it was like had its face burnt off and it looked like a sea turtle.
and she's the avian enthusiast, correct?
No, she's a 17-year-old
Okay.
who didn't want anybody to talk about it.
Okay.
But came home all freaked out that
Yes.
she
Okay.
saw the featherless bird with a turtle face while she was on a cruise along the Nepali coast.
Okay. So one more
She
thing
said
then.
it was flying towards that island. It flew towards that
Oh.
island,
Yeah.
the other island.
Okay. He's making his home nesting grounds there too.
Right. Right.
Or it could be just out for a snack in the waters.
Yes.
Who knows?
So this image here that we pulled up with that beautiful array of colors, you think the wings, that's the
Yeah.
closest thing that depicts what you saw head, wings, the closest thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's no reason
nice.
why. There's nothing there that wasn't part of what I saw.
Okay. I wonder just by
The-
seeing
the
something like that, it scares
proportion-
you.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
the proportion of the head, kind of the shape of the head, the shape of the wings, the wideness of the wings near the feet. I didn't see any feet or any claws.
right.
But
Sure.
the thing's moving.
It's moving fast too. Okay.
Yeah.
And talk about sensory
But
overload.
the color,
seeing something
even
like
I mean,
that.
even the colors. That's the kind of thing. That's kind of the look of the colors too.
Yeah. How about
But it's
that?
black, but you would get like this. Almost, it was like the bluish greenish.
Yeah.
And to
lighting
clarify
on.
for the audience and everything, the colors you're talking about is when you looked out where the ducks were and you just saw the cylinder illuminating these colors. This is the color.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
when we saw it, it was black, but you could see kind of either light shining through or light hitting it, and the highlight. I'm an artist, so like I work with color a lot. Color is a thing where the light or would
Good to
hit
know.
it or shine through,
Yeah.
it had like a blue-green,
Just like that.
blue-green highlights on the black.
Oh, how cool. Okay.
All right.
Just like that.
Good. We narrowed
Yay.
down our pterosaur. Okay. And it looks like this is
Yeah,
definitely a
and
member of that
so
family.
yeah, and so when the friend saw it and asked if there were bats, she saw a black thing, but she said it had a really long face.
Okay.
It's like it had a really long face that didn't look like a bat face, which I think, that could be, you could say that's a long face.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Jeff, why don't you save that for me? Okay?
I am. That's what I'm doing right
And
now.
send
Yep.
it.
Yep.
Okay. We are running short on time. This has been a fantastic
So cool.
experience.
Yes.
And there's so much more that I have to ask, but I'm not going to have the chance to do it. I have to say, I think we need to have a part 2 if your daughter is willing. And if you would like to come on board too and do this again,
awesome.
it's up
Yes.
to you, Sarah. I don't want to take too much of your time, and I don't want to keep pressing you, but you have
Yeah,
you have
so
such
I'll
an
just-
amazing testimony
Oh,
here.
yeah, I'm
wow,
happy.
yeah.
I think it's fun.
Okay, good. I think we're going to have to do this again
Yeah,
later in
no,
the year.
I'm happy to.
Okay. Sarah was actually
Alright.
going to potentially come to Oregon. She thought
Oh,
maybe
wow.
there was a chance she could be down here. We could have done a
Yeah,
one-on-one.
we were there for a wedding.
Mm.
Okay.
So, but that was last August.
All right.
All right. Yes.
We
have to go.
Yeah, we unfortunately. Sarah, thank you so much. I
Yes.
appreciate your testimony. Anytime you want to reach out, that's what I'm here for. This is the creature I've chosen to study. This is the phenomena I've chosen to be grounded in. And it's only by the grace of God that eyewitnesses like you continue to come forward to strengthen this cause. Thank you so much for being on the Ropen Network.
The RRN Ropen Radio Network is brought to you by 511 Tactical. Always be ready.
In late 2023, the Ropen Network documented several unexplained aerial sightings near Benton City's stretch of the Yakima River. Our accounts told of bioluminescent movement, odd angular silhouettes against a starlight sky, but the network left behind a trail of unanswered questions. Josiah Moore, a seasoned cryptid researcher with a recent field experience in the remote jungles of the Cameroon. Josiah has set his sights on the Yakima River. The investigation begins here, where folklore collides with possibility and where something ancient may yet fly under the cover of night. We wish him the very best in his efforts to prove the existence of living Ropens in the United States. For every encounter, there is a mystery, and for every mystery, there is someone somewhere who has a missing clue. Perhaps that someone is watching. Perhaps that someone is you.